though, right?
Yeah, I did. That's the source of
I
my
hope
off
that's-
the rails. Oh yeah.
Fuck, I can't wait.
And so by '78, that's when I joined Quiet Riot. And we were playing around town, but everybody had we weren't relying on what we made playing locally.
No,
to sustain
because it
us.
wasn't. Because you wouldn't make. I mean, at that time, you wouldn't make that many.
And you still don't.
You're right now,
if you're
exactly.
A local band, yeah.
You still don't.
Yeah.
I don't
So
think
we make enough for gas money, for the truck that we put our gear, and to pay a couple of road guys, and
that was it. I mean, we're still doing it to this day. I mean, other than there's certain tours we get on that we're playing different places, especially across seas. We can afford to have a bus and fill it up with gas and stuff.
Yeah.
Well, it's a Ford Windstar that we have over there. It's not like a real tour bus.
Yeah.
The tour bus is sexier.
Yeah, but you guys are doing incredible venues, huge, and you're headliners.
Well, it's a big deal. For us. I mean, it's one of those things to be able to play with bands, that we were do a download festival or be with play with Motley Crue and the Def Leppards, which Def Leppard was a big deal. Just like again getting to hang out with you and get to rub shoulders with all the guys that we appreciate, love, and that's why we do what we do because of you guys, and we want to keep that alive today. For the kids that didn't get a chance to in '78 to see how Quiet Riot, how bitchin' you looked and all of us, and just bitching. So we're trying to bring back that time, and you're helping us do that by having me on here. So appreciate that.
Yeah, you guys remind me of a band, not in one in particular, but a band. You guys remind me of like if you were a real '80s band that actually survived grunge and survived, any other fad, not fad, but whatever was popular at the time. Because when grunge came in,
in the early '90s, I mean, all those heavy metal ballads that were coming out, the Warrants, and there was all kinds of the Firehouses, and then all of a sudden it was like the power ballad time. All through the '80s, but that's the only thing that stood the time until Nirvana came out, and then it just went.
Yeah, I mean, which to me it was time. Sometimes you have to drain the swamp.
That's exactly it. And at least every 10 years we get to come drain the swamp.
That's right. Flush the toilet.
Whatever. Exactly. Just get the poop out.
Get the poop out, yeah. Because, great music came out of grunge. I mean, I listened to it, and I'm a fan.
They weren't as hot as we were, Rudy. I mean, that's one thing. It was tough. It was tough.
This is the way I look at it, because I was there when the changing of the guard happened.
You were doing this, weren't you?
I was doing
Whitesnake at that time, right?
Yeah, you're pointing at this multi-platinum Whitesnake
exactly.
album.
Well,
Actually,
where we are. It's covered with all your everything you've done in how many years? I'm not a good counter, and I only have 10 fingers, but there's a long time.
It's wallpaper that I get to carry from house to house every time I move.
Again, it's not as heavy if you just do pictures of yourself, Rudy. You don't have to lug all this shit around.
It's a little trophy.
Exactly. Yeah, just pictures.
But doctors, they have the diplomas on the wall. This is kind of like a diploma,
It is. It's proven that you've done what you've done.
Yeah.
I never questioned it, but some people might.
Yeah. So going back to the transition of going from '80s, what they call now hair metal.
Right.
Because I don't think we call it hair metal then. It was something that was given to us, and even though
were you ever called glam rock? Because I don't know that you were ever in a band called glam rock, because it wasn't yet. I mean, because even though you were Pretty Boys, even with Quiet Riot or Whitesnake or whatever, you weren't glam. I think that came out with the Poison, or that was like later, right?
But we were influenced by glam.
Yeah,
70s glam.
70s glam.
Yeah,
like
70s
you could
glam.
start. Yeah, there's so many things that.
Well, I'll tell you this. When I first joined Ozzy, my only reference was being in a strip band, Quiet Riot.
Right.
And so I started moving on stage a certain way.
Yes, you did.
The only way that I could, the only way that was natural. And at one point, Sharon takes me to the side and says, "Listen, Rudy, this is a traditional heavy metal band." And, an English heavy metal band. Like,
there was and you're not,
you're not that. But you got to act like one, right? So we were in backstage in the dressing room in some arena, and she goes and draws like a square on the ground, and she says, "You see the spot? You stand there. That's your spot." right? And I say, okay, I get it, you know. But from that spot, I figure, you know, it's like if you put a tiger in a cage, the tiger is not going to sit there. It's gonna move around, you know. And that's what I did. It gave me a challenge, and I took it up. I understood the situation, and I went for it.
That's why I've been your biggest fan, because that's exactly what I could do. I can barely carry. You know, you're actually a bitchin' bass player, an amazing bass player, but you move well, and that's what caught my eye. So, and I think that's a part of music of especially that time. You put on your own show. You're not just good with your fingers and a bass player, but you look fucking bitchin', and that's exactly what made me fall in love with you.
One of the things that I really admire about your playing is that you play for the song, and that's the important thing. It doesn't matter how much, you know, how flashy you can be on the instrument. No, still, as being a bass player, that's your role, especially in 80s music.
And that's why I tell people all the time, it's like, Rudy can show off all day, but you never did. You play with the best guitar player. Let them decorate the tree. You just keep, you with Tommy, with Aldridge, or whatever you did for so long, you keep that count and still being able to do it.
Basically, it's because I understood the function, you know, of the bass player in the 80s. And this is something that, again, I was caught in the middle of it. I went from playing with Ozzy, which of course everybody knows, or they should know, that it was Bob Daisley and Lee Kerslake that performed the bass, you know, the rhythm section on the records, right? And then Tommy Aldridge and I joined the band, right? So, but nevertheless, I was playing that style, which was more melodic, more 70s, because remember, the 80s were not invented yet. Yet when Ozzy came out, you know, with Blizzard and Diary, right? So when it was a transition, I was still in Ozzy when I went in to record only one song for Metal Health record. That was Thunderbird. And eventually I stayed in the band. You know, when I left the recording session of that day, we cut Thunderbird, which I used to play that song with Dubrow, with Kevin's band. Kevin Dubrow. Before I joined Ozzy and left town, right? So when he called me, you know, I was the first bass player that I played. So all those were my bass parts in that song. So I recorded it, and we did it really fast. And the producer goes, listen, we got some time left. Do you remember any of the old songs, such as Slick Black Cadillac? That was the only leftover from the Randy Rhoads back to Mental Health, right? So we recorded that, and then a couple of other songs I used to do with him and Dubrow, you know. So by the time that I left, I had basically recorded almost half the record. Then when I officially joined the band, I came in and recorded on the rest.
And I actually do know this. This is why I love talking about this, because I think a lot of it, and again, I apologize. I feel like I'm interviewing you right now. That's what's great. Because people should know this exactly of how the 80s started and what an influence you had on that for me and other bass players that I talk to a bunch touring. The respect that you have amongst other bass players, and this is a story that I think everybody should know.
Well, I appreciate this. I really do, because I really admire you and I really admire the band, and I am really appreciative of what Steel Panther still does for what we did back in the 80s. It makes it relevant and current today.
It does.
You know,
like right.
30-something years later.
Right.
Yeah, because you guys, you know, I know that it started as a parody band.
Well, because you played with us at the Rockstar premiere, you came up.
Yes, I did.
And he did hear. I couldn't grade my bass, and we did Here I Go. Oh my God!
Well, it wasn't just Here I Go again. It was a medley that you guys do of all the songs with the same 1-4-5 chord progression. Yeah. It was amazing. An amazing moment in my career. It definitely was. Unforgettable.
I never watched that. I still have those strings that you played up. I'm not even goofing.
You know, they were serving barbecue chicken at the party.
Yeah.
And I think I put some barbecue chicken,
I'm fine
barbecue
with it.
sauce.
It's better than what Zach. Do you remember
that's the tone.
That's exactly. I'm not gonna melt there. I'm not gonna boil them. I didn't do that. I want the actual stars and figures.
But if you boil them, you're gonna get some gravy out of it
on the top that'll float to the top.
Yeah.
And that, if you remember, that's when Zach got up and you played with Zach. Zach came up and we did. That was interesting, wasn't it?
Yeah, no, he's great. I love Zach.
Yeah.
So going back to the recording, process of the approach that the producer had and the direction of the band, the way that the rhythm section was envisioned for Quiet Riot was very different from what I was doing with Ozzy, especially the songs. I couldn't play the way that I was playing in Ozzy in Quiet Riot songs because it's not the kind of song.
So you had to adjust and figure out exactly the different style or whatever that the song was.
But I understood it. I understood it because I have been touring with bands such as Def Leppard, supporting Ozzy, and I knew that direction was a modern direction, a modern approach to rock and metal. I understood that.
Yeah.
If I would have not probably toured with Def Leppard, I would have not probably embraced
it, take it in, and understand that this is what you have to do in the position that you're going to be to become who you are, the style and everything that you created.
And I'll tell you why. Because when we would play with Def Leppard in arenas, they would really get across with minimum playing.
Again, another word I don't know. Smaller amounts.
Not playing a whole lot of notes, playing, you know what I mean, mid-tempos. A lot of their songs are pretty much very mid-tempo. Nothing's really, really super fast.
Totally.
Which happens acoustically. Arenas in the United States specifically during the 80s were designed for sports events.
Right, yeah. Sports arena or
so there would be a lot of echo. A lot of reverberation. So if you play really fast, you were not understood, especially with these sound systems that we used to have that were not time aligned
and ready for that. For the big arenas, especially,
Exactly. So what happened was that the bands with more open sound, and I must give a tip of the hat to AC/DC for being pioneers of that.
Stayed right there with exactly. It's the same. Simple but hooky, obviously.
Yeah.
Just not too fast, just right there.
Yeah. They completely pioneered that. And then, Def Leppard, Quiet Riot, and Motley Crue took on that. Rat, all of those bands, Embrace. And a lot of them were already playing like that, back.
I can't think of anything like, it wasn't, exactly. There wasn't anything too much faster than that. It was all just hooks and. And
that reminds me what you guys do. You've been doing that for a while.
We have some songs that are a little bit, but now it's different. We're saying like a song called "Pussy Whipped" or whatever. There's some faster songs in there that Satchel will throw in there. Michael still belts out those vocals that could affect the arena, but at the same time, technology's taken over now, and it's not like it used to be. We don't have a problem with that because we don't play many big places unless we're with a good headliner or whatever. But I mean, we have, especially in Europe. So I take that back. But at the same time, the times have changed. So
one of the very interesting things about Michael, your singer, is we actually toured together, Quiet Riot and LA Guns. He was singing with LA Guns.
Right.
And we're on the side of the stage one day chatting, during sound check, and he says, "Oh man, I think I'm just gonna go back to LA and join this band." And one of the motivations is that he felt that it was a better career move.
And it's his own. It's what we create. It's what we created, And he didn't want to be, a part of it. The LA. Plus, it wasn't fitting him the lifestyle at that time. With his situation, he wanted to come back, and it was. I mean, having Satchel and Michael. I can't think of a better lead singer and guitar player.
Oh, he's amazing.
Sticks.
Yeah,
I'm so
you
lucky.
guys are amazing.
Again,
man.
I'm on coattails, and same thing. If I don't keep myself in shape, and I got to shave this, Rudy. Obviously, now you don't see me like this. I don't look as pretty again. We don't, but nobody can. But I have time off, right? So I could, So, but I have Botox tomorrow, and again, I'm just hanging on with coattails. I'll get fired at any. There's 50,000 bass players probably live next door, down the street, that could take my place. But again, we're bringing back that time and that era, and of just looking good. And again, if you don't look like a girl, you're not going to get many girls.
Listen,
and it still works today, even though
I believe you're irreplaceable. All you guys are irreplaceable. There will not be the same band if you shuffle around the players. But what's really ironic about Michael is that he went back to the future to actually save the future of hair band.